Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Afterlife Files. Every once in a while, I have an interview that is just plain fun. Zenka is a spoon bender, but that's not the most important part. When we did this interview, what I discovered was that there is a mindset that is appropriate for bending spoons. And then there's a mindset for what is possible so that we can move the needle, move the boundary on what it is that we think is possible here in the physical universe. And lastly, there's a mindset that allows us to change how we think about our physical reality, what's possible, or maybe even the nature of reality itself, and the reality of both the physical and the non-physical universe. This interview leads us kind of down that road. So take it all the way to the end because it's really quite extraordinary. All right, I need to tell you a little bit about Zenka. Her bio is like this. Zenka is the founder of LightNet, a collective intelligence think tank centered around consciousness. Caro is a pioneer in mind over matter consciousness research. She is an expert in spoon bending and electromagnetic radio ham contact with ETs and past loved ones. She is passionate about spoon bending, and you'll find that out when you see this, and spirituality, and has been working in frontier technology for over 20 years, running software development companies and working in augmented reality. Caro loves strategic planning for our best future and is an inspirational speaker on the TEDx stage and beyond. Here's our interview. Welcome, everyone, to the Afterlife Files. And today, wow, do we have a fun guest for us? Zenka Caro is with us. And Zenka, how did this all happen about spoon bending and beginning to understand what it is that we are capable of? There's a story here somewhere.
Yes. The story is curiosity and disbelief. I'll tell you. I saw Jack Houck's website and I saw him bending spoons and I was like, no way. And it just made me laugh so hard. And I set on the quest to gather spoons at the thrift stores. I remember I was just so proud. I was like buying all their, thrift store cutlery and putting together my first party. And it was, it was literally that disbelief. Like, how could this be possible? And I remember after the first party, when we actually did it, I laid in bed all night long, just thinking, like, wait a minute. Like, they talk about the integration moments where you're just like your brain goes, this pattern doesn't fit, this pattern doesn't fit. And so I went through a whole night of this pattern doesn't fit. And then I quit my life and began this nonprofit to help us prove how to that some people can do impossible things, so therefore everyone can do impossible things.
So, your first adventure was at a party. And, what does a spoon bending party look like?
Well, I just read his instructions online and it said get 15 minimum people together and get one person that can bend. Because what happens is you say bend, 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 and let it go. And what happens is there's an instant belief change that cascades through the group. So you turn off your brain at some point because there's a lot of chaos and everyone's screaming and whatever. And we encourage a lot of that. And then across the room, you see someone that bent and your brain goes, oh, wait, I can do that. And then it goes, wait, what just happened? How did I do that? Can I do it again? So I call all these people in LA to get them to come to my first spoon bending. I didn't know anyone who'd done it, and I called a Mr. School and they were like, we don't do this yelling and screaming. We only do it meditating. Are you crazy? And I was like, finally, I got a girl that said she could do it, called up a mystical bookstore and she's like, I'll do it and I'll come. And so I was excited. And the day of, she cancels.
Oh, dear.
And I was thinking to myself, this is not good, because I had tried right before, a couple days before, to see if I could do it on my own, and I couldn't. So I was like, wow, man. And I was burying my son in sand at the park, and I kid you not,
There's a segue here that's
I
fascinating.
pull up a spoon that was 90-degree angle somehow in the sand, and a guy walks by with a Just Do It t-shirt on, and I said, okay, I have to do this. And I did it, and we did it, and we bent without touching. We did everything, and it worked. And then I started doing it. And the next one we did was the IONS conference, Institute for Noetic Sciences conference. And then we just kept doing it and kept doing it and kept doing it. And now we do it once a month online.
Really? Wow, that's
Yeah.
fun.
Yes, yes, yes.
So, all right. So this is, what good is spoon bending? Why does one want to keep up spoon bending?
Well, I always tell people it's not about the spoon. It's about realizing that every day of your life, this is happening. Your consciousness is creating your reality around you. And whether it's getting the parking space or getting the job, your thoughts, feelings, and emotions actually are your consciousness is more fundamental than matter. That's what Dean Radin says as well. Your consciousness is more fundamental than matter. And we don't realize that. So this is an opportunity for you to realize that you can, in a heightened emotional state, lift a car from your kid or bend a spoon if you had to, right?
Right.
And you can do anything. And it's interesting because your show and the Afterlife Files and talking about the multidimensionality of this, I'm not even sure that I'm the one bending the spoon. I'm not even sure that it's not guardian angels that are lifting that car. I'm not even sure that it's Archangel Raphael that's healing someone on those trans healings. So I'm starting to very much question, what is the relationship that we have with the other side? Are they right here? I mean, I know they're right here, and I know they can see us because I've done enough research with the radios and everything else to know that. And I think that they're actually influencing the physical world, especially in those moments. I mean, I was in a car once and my husband almost wrecked the car, and literally something grabbed the steering wheel and straightened it, and we didn't wreck. And I was just like, what just happened? So we don't know. And I came with this conclusion after doing a lot of spoon bendings. One time I said, I can't hands off bend this fork. And I said, I'm going to retest it. So I got my pendulum out. I retested the fork. It said no, grabbed another one. And as I grabbed it into the camera, I was like, okay, boom. And it already started bending. And I didn't even start putting my energy and focus. And so from that point on, over the last year, every time I go to a restaurant, the fork is already bent.
What?
Yeah.
So do you do this intentionally? Like send a little note out to the restaurant to say, all right, fork, you're bent by the time I get there.
I know, it's crazy. I don't even do that. I just get really excited when it happens, which there's two things at play. So one thing that I've learned, so when you do something extreme manifestation or extreme reality creation with the spoons, you start to understand how reality works. And when we talk about lucid living and manifestation, the worst thing you can do in spoon bending is to command it to bend, and then you say, let it go. And the worst thing you can do is go, why is my spoon bending? What's happening? What's wrong with me? Oh my gosh. That you're reverse manifesting it. So you're actually causing it not to bend because you're inserting these thoughts of doubt, can't do it, not going to happen, won't work, something's wrong with me, da, 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 da. And so you're filling the entire field. You know, Eric Pearl talks about healing people by just opening himself, like literally just opening himself and not caring about the result. He was like, this healing is going to fall or rise on its own volition. Not that he's like, oh my gosh, people expect me to miracle heal them. I've done it so many times. There's pressure on me, because that's blocking. It's blocking source, right? Blocking. So when I go to the restaurant, I'm not really thinking about it anymore. And I did start thinking about it the last 4 times, and it didn't work. I got there and it didn't work. I'm like, oh my God, what's wrong with me? Did I lose my touch? And then last night I went and it was bent. So when you request to manifest something, you want to get the job, or let it go and just go, okay, it's just going to happen when it happens. Like the check's in the mail. I don't have to like worry, is the mail going to get there? So that's another thing. There's a lot of pressure in the spoon bending to happen in one hour, but 85 to 95% of people can do it. But the best thing you can do is just let it happen in its own time.
Got it. So you mentioned the use of a pendulum in spoon bending. I talk about that. How's that go?
Yeah. So you start with the pendulum because you have to ask your subconscious mind if it's okay to bend a spoon. So you get permission. You say, can I bend this? Or will you bend for me today? You ask the spoon, will you bend for me today? And if it says no, you get another one. So what we don't realize, and we do a lot of this in our coaching, is that your subconscious mind wants to bend the spoon. But that's only 5%. The 95% of the iceberg is below that in your subconscious mind. And if your subconscious mind says, it's not safe for me to do this, I'm going to get killed, I'm going to get, I don't know how to do this, I'm not allowed to do this, all these things from all the generations, the 7 generations that you're carrying forward. I mean, right now you can bend the spoon, no one cares. Put it on TikTok, nobody cares. A couple generations ago, you might be burned at a stake. 2 generations ago, you might be fired. I don't know. I mean, or your boyfriend might look at you weird. So now nobody cares at all. But that's still catching up in our subconscious programming. So we often do theta healing to unprogram your brain, to tell you, I command that we know that it's safe. And again, we call in the other side in order to do that reprogramming. Then we test our beliefs, and it works. So the people who can't bend, we reprogram their mind, try it again, and it works. So it's cool that this meat suit came with a way to reprogram. And you can do this in theta, do it through hypnosis, you can do it through tapping. I mean, it's free and easy. So it's not like.
Okay. Back up for just a second. You use that term, theta healing. We don't know that term.
Yeah. Okay.
What is it? And you mentioned there's a bunch of modalities to make that happen. Talk about that.
Okay. So your brain is in theta from 0 to 7 years old. You're being programmed, your whole life being programmed. It's the brain state that you pass through for 5 minutes on your way to bed before you go into delta, and on your way waking. That's why a lot of people that are trying to change your mindset, like a lot of these different conferences and stuff, they will keep you up. If it's an intense one, they will keep you up. And people that want to brainwash people do that too. They'll keep, even the military, even churches, they'll keep you up so you're so exhausted. you can't even think straight. Well, they're putting you in theta so they can influence your thoughts, basically, but you can do it to yourself. And the fascinating thing, and by the way, on the flip side, the good side is that if you want to manifest something, you will be thinking about it right before you go to bed. And your theta mind, your theta brain thinks about it in images and pictures and music and feelings, not words. So you can imagine that house, you can imagine that whatever job, right?
Right.
So what I learned from Rachel Farbach, she wrote an incredible book called Healing Prayer Commands, is that you can align yourself to whatever you believe, God, Jesus, whatever, Buddha, Allah, whatever. So you align yourself and you command that the beliefs change. So you say, I command a healing to take place now. And then you reprogram, you say, show me what it means to remove all limiting beliefs. Show me what it feels like to be safe when I bend a spoon. Show me what it feels like so you, and then you say, thank you. And so it is. And so we use her technique and it works because we retested and it works. I mean, I've healed people of major illnesses, gotten 2 people out of comas, I mean, change test results on leukemia. Like, if you can tap into the other side and they want to grant your request, they will do it. Yeah, so you can do that. And then tapping is where you tap points of your face, right? Yeah, here, and you can say like, I am safe, or I am confident, whatever you want to program, and it works. It works. I mean, some guy told me he cleared an entire veterans hospital using tapping. And there's tapping circles that you can get onto and stuff. So there is a way to take out some of those thoughts. If you don't do it with hypnosis or some of these techniques, you can do brute force over the course of 2 weeks, 21 days, where you're just literally like, I am confident, or you're doing, you're reestablishing your brain's pattern to thinking that you want to exercise, or that you are confident by saying it.
Got me on that one.
It's pretty interesting. So your subconscious rules your life and you don't even know it.
Yeah. So you used another term a little earlier and it went by too fast. It was something like lucid living.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Tell us what that's about.
So Starseed Academy and LightNet, my organization, we try to research into the unknown because there's enough books about the known. And we try to collect people that are curious citizen scientists, because we're not that impressed with the universities. I mean, Joe Dispenza and all that stuff has softened that. But really, the kids in the universities aren't able to research consciousness in a way that we want to do. So we're saying, let's all get together. Let's research into the unknown. So we do remote viewing, but we go remote viewing off planet, so we're not doing military targets, we're not hunting down dead people. We're not using an app to figure out, what coffee cup is there. We're actually, researching the unknown, which is what is on this planet, etc., off planet. So lucid living is this concept that lucid dreaming is where you go, oh, I'm actually dreaming. And if I'm actually dreaming, I can do whatever I want. And so we had Adam Coupel running our waking induced lucid dreaming class. So we started from a waking state. In the groups of 8, we would begin the lucid dream, and that gives you more chance of remembering what you dreamed. And then we carried it into waking life. So the team starts to do things like bloom things. So bloom ridiculous things into reality. If you can manifest ridiculous things into your reality, you know that this is a dream, that it's flexible. So they say we're living in a dream. Well, we might be lying down somewhere like an avatar, and this might be the dream. And if it is the dream, let's realize it's a dream and let's create heaven on earth, right? So we'll do things like, okay, today we're going to bloom purple cars. I saw 2 yesterday, bright purple cars in a town of 10,000 people. So you can come up with, I mean, we even bloomed, our friends were like, oh, we want to bloom $100. And I was like, who's going to leave $100 on the floor? And they called us 2 days later, and they were climbing to the top of a mountain, and they found like $100 looking bill. It was like $1 million looking bill. And it was a pamphlet of a guy who had read the Bible and said there's proof of ETs in the Bible. But I mean, that's, and then my son found $100 bill in his backpack. So I mean, who knows how it's happening, but you can do it. And so it just makes you question even more how this all works.
Speaking of works, you also mentioned that you put together 15 people because there's like enough juju, or why 15?
Okay. So we are big fans of Lynn McTaggart's research shows. So she said that if you put 8 people together in groups of 8, you can heal people, miracle heal people, and it works. And Joe Dispenza does that to some extent with even more people. Jack Houck did this on 16,000 people, and he recommended 15 people for spoon bending because it's just so ridiculous. Like your brain just can't even can't process it at all. So 15 is a better number, because in these groups, what we realized is if you get a non-believer, they actually squash the rest. So you need to have 25% kids if possible, 50% open-minded people, and then you can have 20% naysayers. But it does matter. So it does matter where you live. It does matter who your friends are. And we found that in LITM, in what we do, is that you might as well support people with 8 to 12 other people who are trying to do the same ridiculous thing, because they're going to be rooting for you. They want to do the same thing. So, we're doing a purpose lab right now. Like, how do you find your purpose? So let's get 8 people together. They're all the grandmother in disguise, as my friend Scott used to say. They're not your naysaying boyfriend or your husband or your this or the that. They're people that are saying, yeah, you can do it. And you can do it in 8 weeks. So and that's, yeah. So there is science behind that. And it goes all the way to the Maharishi effect. And the Maharishi effect states that if you have 7% or 1% of the population, or square root of 1%, so 7 million or 700,000, you can create world peace. And this is backed by Harvard studies. I mean, this is the real thing. So there's something we don't understand about the quantum world. And when someone is coherent and sure of themselves and lined up, they're somehow more powerful than someone that's like chaotic and not coordinated. So it does help when you pray for someone. It does help when we come together and dream of peace.
So we've gone down a couple of rabbit holes here. I think we should get back to spoon bending.
Yes.
How do you do it? How does it work? Why are restaurants afraid of you?
I know. My son's like, stop stealing silverware. And then finally he was like, okay, take it. Because he's amazed by the whole thing too. So first of all, I encourage you. I'm just going to promote right now. You go to starseedacademy.org/join, get in, and you can practice once a month for all year long. It's very affordable. We're a nonprofit. So you get into the class and you buy silverware. So you're not going to want to start practice. I barely have forks and spoons left of my own. And so we go to a restaurant supplier. We've cleaned out all the thrift stores, but just go get some forks and spoons and of different weights and things like that. And then it's like I said, we do work with bringing white light into our bodies and like focusing the chi. But, Jack House said that he would meditate first and it had no effect. So he stopped doing it. So there's no hocus pocus needed. It's just your attention on it, commanding it. So we hold it in front of our faces and we say, bend, bend, bend. And then we say, let it go. And that is the most important part. It's just letting go. Whatever is going to happen is going to happen. And then we have 3 types. And so move your focus away from yourself at that point. Look at someone else, think of someone else, do something else, whatever you can to focus away from yourself is where it happens. And then we have 3 stages. The first stage is warm forming, where we literally, the spoon gets soft for about 15 seconds and then it hardens and stops. But it will literally just be like rubber, like whoop, and it will be very easy. And that's warm forming, and that's kindergarten level. And then we do high school level, which is bending the buckle of the spoon, which is almost impossible to do with your physical force. And then the third level we do is hands-off bending, which is this thing where we're bending things. Now, I have seen children bend in complete arcs. So there's something about children being free, rebels, like not caring, they're not in their head, they don't care what they look like, think like, whatever. And then they just bend. And then we often sprout seeds in our hands and stop clocks. So you can do anything. And I don't know if you know the Emoto's rice experiment. I forgot to bring those out to show you guys. But if you type in Emoto's rice experiment in a browser, you can also take a jar of rice, take 3 of them. One, you open it up for 2 minutes a day or 1 minute. Just say, I love you. You're so beautiful. Thank you for everything. Thank you for being here. Put it away. One you ignore, and you have to have them like this far apart during the day, right? And then the last one, you say, I hate you. You're terrible. And one completely rots. The one that you hate rots. The one that you ignore also rots a bit, which is kind of sad. And then the one you say, I love you to does not rot. So this just, again, it shows you how strong our consciousness is, and we don't even realize it. And really, for me, that's where I wanted to run to. I said, I know what they told me about how the world works, but they never told me this part. And this could be the most important part of everything we do, whether we're trying to save the dolphins, save each other, do anything. If it's all our belief system, if it's all of our thoughts, feelings, and emotions, we better understand this better. So yeah. So if you can see the rice experiment, we used to do it in kindergartens, just to teach them like, hey, when you're yelling at someone, you're actually, and we're made up mostly of water, you're changing, it does have an effect. Yeah.
And you said something about sprouting seeds in your hand?
Yeah. So we take mung beans and we soak them in water, and we put them in our hands, and we do the same thing. We say, sprout, sprout, sprout. And pretty soon the I don't know, the coating of them opens up and the first little piece comes out. I mean, it's extraordinary. It's extraordinary. Anyone can do it. The chances of you being able to do it alone are about 50% after you've done it in a group setting. So 50% of the people after a spoon bending party can do it again on their own. There's something about the group energy and just the chaos of it and the fun of it. I don't know what, but that actually happens. So
Okay, now go back to the second hand on the clock on the wall. See, I'm listening here. You got
yes, you are. Now, this has been my greatest obsession because someone walked into a store that I was working at and they said, "Oh my gosh, I know Yuri Geller, and he used to stop clocks, of his friends that were, across the way or something." And he was amazed by it. And so we started bringing a clock to the spoon bending. And, the first two times it didn't work. And we thought, and by the way, we were doing, just like the 4 minute mile, we were doing this one. Oh, let me find one. This one, high school. We're doing these parties for a long time and we weren't getting to high school or graduate level. And then the week that we got to high school level, we had 6 other people get to high school level.
Yep.
So we couldn't do it month. 4 minute mile, not possible. And then one person does it and then we start doing it. So the belief was created. Same thing with hands off bending. Couldn't do it. First month we do it, then we can do it. So anyway, so my friend Rachel, she's like, let's not give up. That's another thing, not to give up. She's like, don't give up. Let's do it again. Let's do the time stopping again. And I was like, okay. And we did. And we stopped it. And my brain immediately was like, okay, this is messed up. The clock is messed up. It's just not working. And then we did it again. And I was like, okay, this is a fluke. I wonder if we can do it again. And we did it again. So, and my son can do it now too, at will. So it's creating a belief. If you say, oh, I'm always lucky, and I always get a parking space, or I always can pay my rent, or I always, like, you create a belief in yourself, and then that is the reality that will follow. If you say, I'm terrible with money, I can never pay, my bill, that will happen too. So you have to be very careful about the spells that you're casting, like the 4 agreements, that says, like, your words are powerful. And when they've been repeated over and over, and your mom tells you you're fat every day, like blah, 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 you think you're fat, you become fat. If you think you're bad with money, you become bad with money. So I never let people say in my organization, if they say, I can't get my radios to work. And then I say, yet, like, you have to put that yet, because otherwise you're slamming the door in your face.
And as an exclamation point on that, my uncle PJ had this belief that he would get the parking spot right in front of the door of the store he wanted to go to. And 100% of the time, it was always open, always. And that's just something that he did. And we laugh about it till this day. And we get parking spots. It's
because this world is not material. We think it's material because it's dense. It's not.
It's not.
And
So,
and I used to do the parking thing too. And I used to take a picture, and because I'm like a scientist, so I want to study, I want to get proof, I want to have, statistics around it. But try it and give yourself a chance for it to kick in. So again, like, release yourself from it having to work really well in the beginning, because your brain is going to be getting used to it. So the 10th time in a row that you get the parking space, then you start to change your personality, change your belief, and then you become consistent.
So I take it then that before you leave the house, you imagine the fork bent at the restaurant, and it is that way when you get there.
Well, I could do that, but I would be putting a lot of pressure on myself. I do think that visualizing what you want is a good strategy, because if you can't visualize it, I mean, you're further away from it's dream it, plan it, do it. So if you can't even dream it, then, it's not likely to happen. So I would say that I don't even have to visualize it being bent, and I could try that more. It happened consistently right from the beginning, where it happened every time when I went with my boyfriend to the restaurant, like 5 or 6 times in a row. And so then it just happens. I don't even have to think about it. I don't have to will it. I don't have to, it just happens.
It just happens because
Yeah. And
that's just part of how the world works.
yeah. And like I said, I started to question it for the last 4 times I went to a restaurant, like, what's going on? Is it him? Is it me? Is it what's going on exactly? And it stopped working. So again, you have to remove your doubts, because they will insert themselves into the math equation of how this is all rendered out, how the light field works. So just
So,
believe in yourself and believe in other people. So one of the exercises we do in the spoon bending is we have people turn to the person next to them and go, "You bent your spoon. Good job. That was great. Where are you going to put it? Like, this is so great." So there's memory neurons, or what do they call it? Mirror neurons, sorry. So when you tell someone, like, you're gonna do great, I believe in you, you're not gonna fail, you're gonna get the parking space, that helps convince your brain that you will. And so we need each other to raise each other up and hold us, in that vision. Yeah.
so how do ordinary people um, expand their belief in the impossible?
Play.
Love that answer.
Yeah,
Love
yeah,
that
just
answer.
give yourself like an hour. Like, that's like, we go to spoon bending. It's like, okay, just for this hour, suspend all your beliefs. Like, it's really, children have it best. They play. They're not worried. They don't have performance anxiety. So just play and pick a number that you love and see if you can see it in the world. Pick an animal that you love. I pick animals for each person in my life. So building meaning around the world knows how to render itself through meaning. So the more meaning you give something, it's like tarot cards. Tarot cards are, every single card is in every single card. When you pull it, you collapse the wave function, the event horizon collapses, and that is the card that shows up. But if you don't believe in it, it doesn't mean anything. You're like, oh, whatever, this good. So this whole idea that Disney, I mean, I had this crisis like a year ago, because I was like, oh my God, my 10-year-old kid, I'm like, this is what they always said in all those stupid movies, that magic doesn't work unless you believe in it. And that's true. It's actually true. So if you can suspend your belief and play in small doses by manifesting a purple car, your playfulness will increase and you can start doing it with other things.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay. Last thoughts about how we can live better lives through spoon bending.
Yeah. So I think we have to take inventory of our thoughts, feelings, and emotions. I mean, kids these days can read your thoughts. And that was a hard thing to do when I'm parenting, because I'm sitting there at the park, like super bored, like I'd rather be, my brain's going a million miles per hour. I'd rather be researching stuff and whatever, here I'm playing like trucks again. But you have to be aware that the universe knows. You can't hide anything. The universe knows your thoughts, feelings, and emotions. So it's better to bring them out to the table and be like, wow, I'm really mad at this person, or I'm very sad in this moment. And go ahead and sympathize with yourself. Let yourself feel it. Let yourself express it. We came here to feel stuff. And then you can move on from it. I mean, the consciousness training that is done at the Biocybernaut Institute, for example, where you're connected to brain, wearables, is all about forgiveness.
Well, interesting. Yeah.
Forgiving everybody in your life, including yourself, increases your your intelligence by 23% or something like that. So just
Whoa.
remember, you've got a lot of energy that's having to calculate, negotiate, you know, everything out. And when you hold grudges, that calculation has to happen every time you deal with a similar situation. And so you're doing yourself a disservice by not forgiving yourself and those around you. So that's number one. And I think that spoon betting is just a nudge from the universe saying, yeah, everything that you think and feel is contributing to the results of your reality, and anything is possible. Anything. I mean, literally, you can talk to dead people. You can, anything you can do. And there weren't limits written into this structure that we're in, this earth world that we're in, only the limits that we have imposed in our mind. So I mean, Uri Geller, can tell you what's inside a closed envelope to the exact number of grapes that are drawn. So he, and he teleported his whole body. So when you have people like that are saying, wait a minute, the line in the sand is over here, believe in yourself and tie yourself to the beyond. Create relationships that enforce your belief in yourself, because it's at the end of the day, it's teamwork too. So helping yourself helps other people, helping other people helps yourself, etc. So yeah.
I love that. Yeah, it is about teamwork. Lovely. Okay. So, LightNet, how do we find out more about you, more about your nonprofit? Sort of,
Yes.
I'm guessing some people might want to be spoon benders. How do we do that?
Yes. So you can go to starseedacademy.org/join, or just go to the calendar and you can come to the spoon betting $75, or you can pay $144 for the entire year. And that comes with 72 events, coaching, workshops, remote viewing. So we really try to give that away, that community space of other people who are going to be rooting for you. And you can practice every single month. And the goal of the spoon betting is that you teach other people. So I'm teaching you so you can teach other people. You can invite as many people as you want to your house under one membership. So just bring in your kids, your friends, your whatever, and let's liberate people's minds together.
Zenka, thank you. This has been a terrific 45 minutes as we've been exploring what it is that we can do. What is possible? Let's move that line from here to here and then over here. Love it. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us here on the Afterlife Files. And those of you that are watching this, stick around because I've got a couple of interesting thoughts about what Zenka has said. So hang on. We'll be right back. I told you you'd have fun in this interview. There are lots of resources in this interview for you to follow up on, with SpiritNet. And there were a number of authors and websites that you can go to continue to follow up on this work. But the thing that struck me really forcefully was how much fun she was doing spoon bending, how much fun she was having doing this work. And then how that morphed into how much fun she was having in investigating this and bringing people together to create new and unimagined ways of being. The idea that you could live a life of magic that it was so much fun to just be in that space. I think really gets wrapped up at the very end. She talked about, what it is that you can do in order to create a different future for yourself, create a different mindset. She said, just play and don't be attached to the outcome. Just have fun being in that space, and that will do it. Let's all take that one home. Thank you for being with us on the Afterlife Files. We'll see you next time. Bye now.